to pray that God gives us a good day. It's not always, we should never take it for granted whenever God gives us new day. So I played a video just to let people join, and I can see I have a third of the class, and because of that, I want to start our topic this day, hoping by the time we are done with our brief devotion, we'll be able to we'll be able to have more majority. So this is an article that I was reading by Dr. Winston from Legend University. He talks about competence and the Bible. Because today we want to focus on what's the new issues in education. And looked evidence from an invited speaker on entrepreneurship and Legend University indicate that those entrepreneurs who went into business as a call from God but did not know how to do business did well, although the entrepreneur indicate that they made a lot of mistakes. So they did well, although they did a lot of mistakes. Through their mistakes, these educated entrepreneurs say that God took care of them, and the problem always seemed to be corrected after initial losses and errors. In contrast, and actually again evidence from entrepreneur who also went into business because of a call from God. Again, the two of them have a similar background, but had an education in business. It indicated that they were successful. In comparing the two groups, the actual evidence shows that doing what you do well, which is competence, lead to higher level of competence. So, in respect of education, those who are not educated may do a lot of mistakes, but those who are educated, they also do mistakes, but not as many. But the two of them, the two groups, basically will succeed. And from the Old Testament, beginning from Genesis, and as you look and read through the several books, the following verses seem to support a need for competence. For example, we find a call in Genesis 47, verse 6, talks about a call for capable men. And it says, I'm trying to move this. It says, the land of Egypt is at your disposal. Settle your father and your brother in the best land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. This is Joseph being told about where to settle his people. And if you know any capable men among them, put them in charge of my livestock. This is Joseph. So you can see, even at this point, they are not just given land. They are told, yes, we are giving you land, but look for capable men, people who are able to do a good job. Again, Exodus 1, verse 1 to 5, we find God advising men that he select capable men. Again, capable here means competence men. The Lord said to Moses, see, I've chosen Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Har, of the tribe of Judah, and have filled him with the Spirit of God. Again, remember the first case? A call from God. Here, I filled him with Spirit of God, with skills, ability, and knowledge of all kinds of craft. Sometimes I wish I was like this guy, Bezalel. I've filled him with the Spirit of God, with skills, ability, and knowledge in all kinds of crafts to make artistic design for work in gold, in silver, in bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, to engage all kinds of craftsmanship. Imagine, God put you a spirit like this one, put you in class, and there is no subject you cannot teach. You know, putting you in an engineering job, and there is no car you cannot repair or work on or design. Put you as a farmer, and there is no plant you cannot grow or animals you can't keep. And they all succeed, because if you remember from the first story, they all succeeded. Again, Exodus 35, we see the skilled worker was selected to make elements for the tent of meeting. So it is interesting to know that the proceedings, this mentioned the skilled, the text again in the text Exodus 35:21, say that these people's heart was stirred by God, again called by God. It says, everyone whose heart stirred him and everyone whose spirit moved him came and brought the Lord's contribution for the work of the tent meeting and for all its services and to the holy garments. Verse 5 says, all the skilled men span their hands, women span with their hands, and brought what they had spun in blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, etc. Again, the Spirit of God sparred them. 1 Kings 7:17, 14. That is what first wisdom and understanding, competence in thought, and then skill, competence in craft that proceed. Hiram's competence by King Solomon. We see God really looking for competence in all levels. Our God is looking for competence in all levels. And God does not underlook or undervalue the importance of knowledge. And you can see the order. Get knowledge. You know? I like the Bezalel. God gave him spirit, and then he talks about skills and knowledge, all of them put together. And we know that knowledge plus skills plus experience equals competence. I think we know that. Experience becomes very, very instrumental. And as we talk about competence-based learning, you can see how important it is. And you can see it's also grounded in scripture that God himself selected his own. He selected his own to serve him in different capacity. He gave instructions on what these men can do. See, Bezalel being told, I've given you the ability and the knowledge of all kinds of craft to make artistic design for work in gold, in silver, in bronze, to cut and to set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of craftsmanship. Solomon, as he was doing the temple, again, he was given instruction what kind of material to use, what kind of wood to use, what kind of measurement. Again, very, very accurate. God is not a God of accident. It's not a God of messed up. When we do things without planning, let's remember God planned. And for sure, if you look at how God created the world, you know for sure God thought about the world to put it in place, to put all there is in this world against all the other planets. See the way they go out and none of them collide with the other one. To put the forces of gravity, to put the sun where it is, not to go down even 1 inch, because that would be disaster and there will be no mankind in this world. And even after doing all this, to put man in place, in his place, to take throne and to rule this world. But unfortunately, sometimes men did not sometimes really, men did not abide with the rules he was given by God, leading to sin. But we come to an education system and what we have. And for sure, you realize that it is probably not sitting down and planning I saw yesterday, was it yesterday, this week, and Young coming up with the new plan beyond 2030 up to 2060 for this country. I've not read the plan. Probably some of you have. And somebody told me he sent me, I think he may have sent. But to have a blueprint for the next 60 years, 30 years, would be very good because it is going to give us direction. But how much have we thought about it? My question is, for example, again, I don't want to comment much because I've not read it, but I know in terms of public participation, nobody has asked me. I've not had people, probably in this class, there are people who have participated in that thinking, where the future is going. And without that planning, just like you can see what God did, as we get some of this, so as we get to think about the future, because 2030 is already here, we need to be led by the Spirit of God because the future belongs to God. He knows where we are going or where the country is going, where the world is going. So we really need to have His Spirit guiding those people who are taking charge. I know, and I admire Professor Anyang Nyong because I'm a student of his in terms of background. When I was in high school, from 5, from 6, we really used to admire. I can see somebody asking whether we have finished 2030. I think it's good to planning would enable us to start thinking ahead. Just like Gilbert, you thought about marriage before you got married. You planned. But what I'm saying is that there is need to really think deep into it so that you see like what they say that what we have today as 2030, that blueprint by Kibaki is what we are using and what we are doing in terms of planning. And so what I was saying earlier on is that I'm a student of Anyang Nyong because when we were in high school, he was the great economist that we knew, and I was doing economics in high school from 5 and from 6. So we used to laugh the way he was writing his books and many other ways. So we used to admire him. And so I believe that he is and can do a good job with a team. But I pray my prayer this morning is that let's put competent men and women to be able to lead, men that are not just called by the president or appointed by the president, but men that God has used the president to appoint and be able to come up with the future. Because we are talking about our country. It's just like whatever you do in your house today or any other time affects your children. Those children you see there, their life and their future is dependent on you. Any error in life will affect them. Any misunderstanding, any misplanning will affect them. The same way, any plan that we do in this country, let's all remember that it affects us. When we set an education system that is not functional, it affects our children. When we set one that is functional, it affects our children. Education system should be thought through, carefully thought through, and we should not be in a hurry to implement them. Why? Because the future belongs to us, the country belongs to us. So why should we be in a hurry to implement? And one of the biggest challenge that I have in this country is we like doing things so quickly in a hurry, and that could be our main undoing. That we want to see progress, we want to see accomplishment of whatever we do, And so my argument this morning, I'm diverting from the scripture because it's like we are also running at the same time, is that God will give us that capability. And I have just said capability, now from a management point of view, capability equals equals knowledge, and skill gives you capability. When you add experience and exposure, it gives you competence. And that's what we are looking for. So when we say that we have CBE, competence-based education, we are saying that this education is able to build our student to have the knowledge, to have the skills. And by the time they finish university, they have also the right exposure and experience that they can move the engine of development. I think that's what we are saying. And at whatever level, they're able to do something that fits. So it's not just knowledge. It's not just the theory that they are getting. It should be theory that's grounded on it's theory that's grounded is backed by skills, but also exposure. They have gone out there, they have given some jobs, they have seen, they have done, and now we can release them and enable them and trust them to be able to move ahead. Lord, we want to thank you so much this morning. Thank you for the topic that we are discussing. Thank you also for your word this morning that competence come from you. You select your own, whether they are skilled or not. You first call them. Then once you call them, you enable them and you give them the capability to acquire knowledge, to acquire skills. You enable them and you give them instruction to do that which is right, to be competent in everything that they do, to do work that reflect you, that whatever product, whatever service they provide, it should be service to God first and second to man. We thank you for this morning and we pray that you guide us even as we continue with the rest of the lesson. In Jesus' name, amen. Yeah, so we continue with our lesson. Before even I continue, let me do some recaps because I know we say we are going to do recap and then time just disappear or run so fast. Right? Can you see my screen?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes. So we just want. I think I wanted to really do a recap of this because so this is the way we were doing, and we have assignments. This is the grading structure, and we want to see where we are. We are doing assignments, and I think if you look at your email, I've sent 90% of the assignments. I was sending them around 3 a.m. this morning. So I did not finish because I also needed to catch some sleep before I can come and do in class. But if you look at those who have seen, you have seen are marked. Those who have received, and if you have not, you check your email. By the way, I don't send the work in the DU. I send straight to the student. So please check your email, and if you have not received, you will receive your email. As soon as I'm done with my class, you should receive all your assignments by noon. Otherwise, they are all done. So that is assignment 1. I think you know that. I think assignment 2 we've put in the e-learning. We put when it's due or in the Moodle, and so there is the practical exercise. We'll be doing that today. There's this other paper. The practical exercise includes both the. Let me go down here just to see the breakdown. So we have these 3 assignments. Because I saw some people saying they are surprised at the assignment. So let people not be surprised. So we are saying several assignments will be given to students during the semester. The assignments are to be done in either individually or in groups. Students should check the DU online platform for specific assignment and the due dates. Again, this outline, course outline, I've just drawn it from DU online. So it is. You can go there, and I'm sure some of you have because you have done the first assignment. So from the 3 given, you are doing only 2. I think we already emphasized that. So I think some assignment 1 is already done. I have seen people responding to it, whereby they were either answering this question or again, and then then all these. Assignment 2 is week 8, and we are saying for again week 8. I think people have started submitting that assignment. Did I extend the time? I think I did. I extended the time. You are doing here. You are doing 2 articles, either or. We are saying that you can do 8 that the school principles, or discuss how education policies are brought together. So again, you have read that. Then after that, the assignment 3. So if you did 1 and 2, you don't need 3. If you missed 1, you must do 2 and 3. I think that's what we are saying. And the weeks are also given there. So those are the 30 marks that I'm talking about. Then there is the practical. These practical activities will involve group discussion questions, the presentations, and case analysis. The analysis are class-based. Only those present on the day of activities will earn marks. Well, the day activities are shown in the weekly schedule. They are mostly random. So I may say we have those activities, but basically the reason why I put them random is because we don't want this. We want people to participate in class and really do what is right. For example, come to class, participate. I think the other day there is a student who wrote to me and I said, I've never seen you in class. And he said, I'm always there contributing to the chat. And then my question is, why don't you contribute? And I'm not naming the persons because I think he's speaking on behalf of many who just contribute, they never speak, but I'm not penalizing you for that. I'm just saying, when we give some of these activities, please be in class so that you don't blame us. Again, I say we may use, for example, week 4, we may have done that, but that does not necessarily mean that we do that. So it takes 2 forms: group activity week 4 and group activity week 8. But it doesn't have to go that way because I'm the one who decides what to do. Like this today we are doing one of those group activities. So we have 20 and 30. That is 50. And now I wanted to ask about these. This practical activity, sorry. The last one, this is the group project. Main project: lead the consortium of research on education access, transition, and equity. Let's create article entitled The Political Economy of Education. This is a study based on 3 countries, Ghana, Sri Lanka, and India. System of education and the role of politics and economics. The task of the group, based on your country's education development, conduct a research and write a paper of 3,000 words based on the following guidance adopted from Creator. What progress has there been in access to basic education since independence? 2, what policies for access on basic education has been promoted? 3, what role have political regime played in the formation of policies on access to basic education? 4, what role has politics played in the process of policies formation and implementation? 5, what has been the driver and inhibitors of implementation of recent major reforms? And lastly, develop a model for education, politics, and economics for your country, university sector. We could do for all other sectors. You can tell me whether you want to open to secondary school, probably, because you can't do for everything. That's the work of the government. But for you, I chose university sector, but which also has enough problems. So this is a group assignment, and I wanted to know, I don't think, have we formed the groups?
Yes,
we have
Prof.
yes, we have groups.
Oh, you've already formed. If you have groups, then that's fine. Has anybody, do you have anyone who has no group? Now that I hear the train has already left the station.
Prof, unless they joined us this semester, we've had groups since semester 1.
Oh, so there is a way you work, huh?
Yes.
Okay, then that is fine. So I would then encourage those who, if you have not joined a group, please join a group, because so that we don't get stuck. So I just wanted to highlight that, and also tell you that I've forwarded the first assignment. I'm forwarding like I said, even sending those assignments on email takes more than 3 hours. Just sending them, not marking. Marking, you can imagine how long it takes. But I'm not complaining, and I I should have put you in groups. But sometimes I also want to understand. I hope if you look at the way I'm shaping, I'm marking, I'm telling you where you are going wrong. The biggest challenge we have with our people, and I mean in Kenya in general, it is a lack of referencing. You write from your head and nothing in terms of referencing. So it is good. You have aid referencing. By the way, let me say this. This class has done well. I must emphasize that. Compared to the other programs that I know, including PhD, in terms of assignment. I have seen a lot of references, and in text, majority of the others I have to really to tune them to ask them to reference. So the group has done well, and I hope. I think it's probably because most of you are teachers, but still we have those who have challenges. I deliberately, I hope you know that, did not give you bad grades. That was deliberate. I did not want to appear like I'm punishing anyone. So I have a minimum of 10 marks out of 15. So the range is between 10 and 15. It's not that I could not give people 5 marks, but I keep saying, I'm not there to punish student. I'm there to shape student. And since I had not told you, I had not marked your assignment, I was a bit generous, but in assignment 2, please note, I will be strict. Please note I will be strict in terms of the things I put, because I put everything on the paper as to what I expect. So I was not rough. I was not very mean. Please, I will be strict in the second assignment. But I just wanted to have you get that today. Uh, just a recap so that as we get to the end of the semester, semester just run and run and run. In the next 2 weeks, I think we'll be done with the semester. So I wanted just to highlight that so that we all know where we are. So this is just, you can see the way I had broken down the weeks so that at least, so practical groups, I think we have done some assessment in class. I think there's a time we had a group activity, but today we have another one. I think we might only have two. And the one today we are going to listen to a video. So that's why I say that they don't have to be article based. They can be any, I say they are random, but for those probably who missed, I will allow them to do one of the articles in the group so that everybody, because it's a lot of marks, you closing 20 marks will really put you down. So anybody who will not be in class, they will consult me, then I can ask them, I can tell them which assignment they are going to do. I'm talking about the practical activities. The others, those ones, they are well spread, and this is the timetable. I thought I should say that so that we continue with that. As we continue, we are speaking from the same script. So with that, I go back to my slides. So we want to talk about education reform and politics. Education, politics, and reforms. And okay, we have started that. And just to start our discussion, and some of it I'm going to jump so that we have enough time for the activities. Why education? And these are some of the quotations. Mandela says that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And it's true. One of the things we've seen today is the Gen Z movement. And for sure, you know that the Gen Z movement has been very, very effective because majority of them are highly educated. Majority of them are highly, highly educated. And because they are highly educated, they are able to think, they're able to see what is happening in the society, they're able to judge, they're able to criticize, they're able to analyze. And so the education become very, very easy for them because they are educated. So Mandela was right when he says that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And for sure, I mean, if I last time I shared, I said I'm self-taught. Let me give a let me say this. Us, we are those people who move from Central, we went to Rift Valley when we were small. So where we went in the Rift Valley was a very remote area, very remote. It was the school that I went to, primary school, was thatched with grass. So in Kwezeshwa na Nyasi. So it was mud school, ward school, and it's a school when you go there, you realize for sure the only thing that can get you out of this place is education. So irrespective of the circumstances, I had to decide and really worked very hard. Then I did my Form 4, my class 7 exam, not 844. And when I did my Form 4 exam, my headmaster showed my exam results to another student. So me, I'm in class. I'm at home waiting for my letter to go to Form 1. Then it doesn't come. I wait. And then one of the teachers, then I decided, since time is going and seems like I'm not being admitted to school, let me go back to school, the same school, and repeat class 7. So I went back to school and repeated for 3 weeks. Now, other children already settled in Form 1. But one of the teachers came. I'm really grateful to that teacher. He had told my mom that he has seen my results. But my results are not in school because they were given to another parent who had another child who had a similar name like mine. And so my mother went to Nakuru education offices, and for sure, taken by a secretary, he was taken by that headmaster. My mom is not educated. She was taken by the head that particular teacher, and they went and she guided him. They saw the name. Even the school where I was admitted, the school I was called was a new school, and it was about 20 kilometers from my home. And so we went to that school, and for sure my name was there. But now, how do I prove it's me? Because according to the headmaster, he admitted the right child. And so the other child was called, who was my classmate though. Let me explain. And he was asked, "How are you, Samuel Muriithi?" My name is Samuel Moirori Muriithi. So he said he's John Moirori. So they are using my middle name. And so, but he's deceiving himself as Samuel Moirori in that school. So he went with so I said I'm the one, and my mom said I'm the one. So eventually, after a long discussion, the headmaster said he does not want politics, but he he allowed us to study, the two of us. So I was admitted in that school. But this is a school that is about 20 kilometers from my house or from our home. It means there are no means. It isn't very near our place, but there were no roads. It means that I have to walk every day for 20 kilometers, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. Probably about 50. No, I think it's 20. 15 to 18 there. But it's we are walking about 18 kilometers every day because I used to leave home at around 4:30, walking all the way to school. Unfortunately, this school is a school that it was a new school. We had only one teacher. That teacher is the headmaster who was teaching us maths, physics, and chemistry. Maths, physics, and chemistry. We have no labs. Those are the only subjects we did for 2 years. No English, no geography, no history, nothing. He was the only teacher. When he goes for those headmasters or principals meetings, he will not tell us. So we report to school. Remember, I walked 20 kilometers. We wait for him the whole day, sometimes the whole week. He doesn't turn up. It's only in Form 3, out of Form 2, we started getting some teachers. And I think we got one for what? For geography and history. Later on in Form 4, we got some school leavers, those Form 6 leavers who came to teach us some literature. But for me, even in that circumstances, I knew I was determined. So I did my own studies, self-taught, like I said. I'm the one the only one. We were the pioneer group. But I'm the only one who passed to go to a national school. After that, I I left that school in Joro, Nakuru, and I was admitted to high school in Shimoratewa, in Mombasa. You know, a lot of struggle. There were no books. I had to liaise with the students from other schools, Nakuru High, Joro Boys, Kabianga. Those are the notes I was reading. And I remember when we got to Form 4, that term, I went to the headmaster and I asked him to give me permission not to attend classes because I know these classes are not helping us. All we do, we have no foundation. So he allowed me permission and I promised him I will pass. So he gave me permission to be out of school, out of class, but to stay. By this time, by Form 4, I think toward the end of that term, we were given some room to sleep. So it became a semi boarding. So we were able to board the fourth year. So for the last semester, I did not attend the class. I studied throughout. And when the result came, I was the only one who had passed in that school. Everybody else could not go to Form 5, and many, of course, had what we used to call fourth grade or even E's. But that's a bit of that. I will share another version of the story later on. But from that, all I'm saying is that you can see my belief agrees with Mandela. The root of education are bitter, but the fruit are sweet. I can tell you that very, very well. The function of education is to teach one to think intensely and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And here again, the beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. Yeah. If you want to reach real peace in this world, we should start with educating our children. And it's true, you know that an educated society, given an opportunity, is able to listen enough. And so the other day, the Gen Z says, we'll not go to the street again because it is us who are dying. Listening. So what we are saying is that our nation is advanced proportionate to education and intelligence spread among masses. So again, we're just talking about education and how serious that can be. We've already looked at this, the term education, educare and ed-term. We've already looked at this. It means to learn, to know, and to lead out the internal hidden talents or potential of children or learners. And that's really the goal. I don't know, and I think we talked about it some time back. I don't know how much the education we have has really helped us to discover our talent. I don't know how much it has helped us to discover our talent, our inner potential. It has been guesswork. Even me, I can say it has been yes, I did, because really there was no way out. Because none of my schoolmates in Form 4, even today, you can't trace them because where do you get them? And unless you know them, we knew them. Basically, many of them did not succeed. But what I'm saying is that the education system does not, and I wish it could. And I pray that this SBE, remember I said it was hurried, but we need to put structures and facilities in place so that it appears to produce what we intended it to do. So that we identify learners. Somebody says that yes, there's a bit of that, and whereby, and I think what do I mean by identify talents? When a child is born, gets to 3 years, mothers, you are here. You can help me, prove me whether I'm right or wrong. that the kids seem to identify their talent in terms of interest. You'll find a kid that is interested, especially boys. Some of them you'll find they're interested in, repairing things, and modeling. The girls, you see, they're also interested in other things. You see also some girls will also be interested in making cars, modeling, although they are girls. So you can see this is a girl that is becoming an engineer even from the time they are small. Some of us really suffered because of trying to be different from what the world wants us, from what our mothers wanted. So we never explored our talent at all. I remember one time my father bought a radio, a new radio, and I decided to look at what was inside. I don't know what I opened because I was really disturbed why this guy is always talking and I really don't know where he's coming from and how does he fit inside the radio. So I messed up that radio and I tried to put it back. My mother was so mad that she did not think caning me would help. Kwa hivyo alinikula na meno. Yeah? My grandfather had visited and I was taken to the bedroom. And I'm telling you, she was biting me with her teeth. And she was saying, try to cry again. I literally kill you. Because remember the grandfather is in his sitting room. So I'm just trying to, not to come out and shout, and because he didn't know how to explain it to my father. But those are the suffering. I'm sure some of you have gone through that, and many other things. I like enjoying those cars we used to make with wires and all that. But my mother would come and crash it. I would hide it. You still find where it is and really crash it so that. Yeah. So, and I'm sure many of you can share the same stories. Sometimes, sorry, I'm sharing. I've shared too much of myself this morning, but we are talking about competence. We are talking about competence education. We are talking about yes, I can see some people are saying they can relate, like George. Professor, I think you should write a book. I have many books if you go to the website, but not about my life. People tell me I should write about my life. But if you go to the website, sorry, not the website, the internet, put my name, you'll see my books. I have many books out there. But we're saying that it should be able to deliver knowledge, skills, and information to the learners. We have two types of education, the narrow meaning and the broader. The narrow meaning is what we give our students today, our children, being provided is being provided under the premises of schools, colleges, and universities, and this is what we call book knowledge. But there's also the broader meaning. Education is universal. It's a long-term process, starts from foundation, end up at the grave. You are learning and learning every day. I'm also learning every day. And I believe, I'm asking which education system exists in your country. Both exist. I think we have emphasized so much on the book knowledge that even the competent-based learning is suffering from that, whereby parents seem not to pay so much attention to what their children should be learning outside school. Probably our parents are too busy, or we are too busy. But remember, the children require that foundational education. I give an example. I've just given an example of how I messed up a radio. That's not an education I'll get in school. Even today, I've never forgotten. Even today, I rarely get things from strangers because I remember my mother, we had visitors, and one visitor gave me 1 shilling just to ask a coin. And I was so excited. And my mother, when the visitor left, told me to go and throw that coin in the toilet. Never take anything from strangers. So, but anyway, that's a lesson that stick with you. So we've already talked about politics. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time. the word Greek polis, meaning that the state pertaining to the state of the government. Naturally, politics encompasses the activity involved in getting and using power in public places and all that. Again, we talked about that. In education, politics makes students aware of their rights and the respective duties as citizens. This is something that children are now talking about. One of my colleagues was telling me that his 7-year-old boy came home and then it was a Saturday and she put off TV because he said he should be doing assignment on Saturday. And the boy said he must watch TV. That is his right. So she's arguing with the boy, and the boy says, that is my right. The teacher told us we have a right. We have a right to watch TV, we have a right to study, and we can study when we want. Class, 7-year-old. Teachers, you are here. You can see what so agent of political socialization include the family. Again, we talk about that, peers, groups, we've looked at this before. The role of school as an agent of political socialization cannot be overemphasized. This is critical socializing structure in the modern world. School have curriculum with subjects like history, geography, political science, social, etc., which teach students the different aspects of social life and become, by comprehension, cultural transmission take place. So all these things do take place through being exposed to failure areas and knowledge, and then the system the learners are able to evaluate and critically evaluate critical existing value to evaluate, to be able to evaluate and critically look at the existing system and their impact in the society. So you can see that yes, the children have really, if we do it well. And so I must emphasize that teachers stand a very good chance to indoctrinate learners with preferred knowledge or ideologies. And that's where I want to pause. Who we are product of our teachers. And I know I said this at the beginning, and some of you are saying probably it is not true. Because I said the course you did in the university, first degree, I asked, was it really yours or was it for your teacher? Because even from one, for the subject you chose as the best subject to do exam in Form 4, were they yours or are they for your teachers? Because what I know is that if a teacher passed well in a certain subject, they are very proud. And so they tell children to study those subjects and they work very hard so that the teacher can be very proud. If the teacher was very poor, for example, in maths, then he's given the subject maths. He will not be able to deliver, she will not be able to deliver. And so students end up hating that subject. Yet, that could be their talent, or that could be the area or their passion, that could be their gift. But the teachers make them not to discover that talent because they have no passion for that subject. So we end up becoming the products of our teachers because they build interest. They build interest in us. It's the subject they have interest. There are very few teachers who will sit and tell you, think what you want to become. Think what you wanted to become. But they are there because I remember even when we were even in that kind of struggle in Form 4, there's one of my teacher who used to tell us in class, you people, you seem to have no passion. Can you please think what you want to do in life? Don't allow yourself to stop education at Form 4. Because if you do, he was a newly graduate. If you do, your life will not be the same. So don't waste your time. And of course, he will tell us, you, from what I see, I think it will be this. From what I see, I think it will be this. He shaped us a great deal. But also the others, there's one who is to tell us, when you leave Form 4, make sure you live with two things. One or two things. You either live with a wife or a husband, or with education. So you live with a wife or a husband, or with education, but don't live with nothing. Yes, don't live with nothing. You must. So, what is he telling us? What is he telling us? Eddie, okay. What is he telling us? Eddie, it's him. Yeah? What is he telling us? Your mic is not there. It's off.
I think he gave a choice to for students to choose whatever they wanted to get. So like you're given a mindset whereby you choose what you think it's best for yourself, which I
But he
felt
was
it's
giving,
a very good thing.
it was a good thing. He was giving us opportunity to date in school. Yeah? He was giving us an opportunity to date in school. He's saying you can't, yeah, you can't lose both. If you go home, you have failed the exam and you don't bring a wife, you are useless. That's what he was telling us. If you go home and you don't bring a husband or you don't get married, you are useless. But you can also choose education. I think the majority of my colleagues chose the latter. He was a Gen Z of those times. Yeah, he was, but he was our anyway. So, but what I'm saying is that he was looking at desperate situations and yeah, and give us. What I'm saying is that teachers, and let me tell you, if you look at the Bible says that teachers will be judged harshly than other people because of the impact, both positive and negative, that you have in our teachers. When you are in primary school and did not get to understand what the teachers were saying, they say something about your head. What did they say? Where were you? Mm? Yes. Jerry says some of us left with both. Yes, kichwa maji. Uh-huh. I can see John saying kichwa maji. What else did they say? Kichwa what? Kichwa marenge. So, if a teacher says that you are kichwa maji or kichwa marenge, and you come to believe for sure, and you tell us to shake our head to ensure that whether there is marenge or water, what does that do to the children? Bure kabisa. What does that do to the children? It makes them to believe. Remember, this is an adult telling the children what mediocre, it is demoralizing. Yeah, no, don't really demoralizes them. It mess up their lives because their mindset is fixed. I'm nothing. And so whenever they look at the other teacher, the message links. Mimi ni kichwa marenge. It means that the brains are marenges. And that was a colonial mentality. Those who don't know that. It was a colonial mentality. There's a book that was done in the 80s that say that the brain, the head of an African boy or an African man or an adult is so big, but the brain is very small. In fact, this was a British woman who had written that book, which was in the encyclopedia, the library, the British library for a long time, I think until 1963, say that the head of an African mature person or adult is very big, but the brain is very small. So, in fact, they say that the brain of a mature African person is equivalent to a 7-year-old white kid. That's what was written for a long time. For 100 book years, that book was in the library. It was withdrawn in 1963. So, what if the head is big and the brain is very small? So, what filled the rest of the head? Now you can see. Unfortunate, those are mentality that we borrowed from the colonialists, then we adopted, then we started passing the same to our children. Very sad. So I'm saying that the teachers stand a very, very good chance for to do all this. And we talked about the influence of politics. And so having said that, today I said we have an activity. How Africa got messed up education system? I want us to listen to PLO. I don't know whether you like him or not, but sometimes there are things he says that are very important. So once we listen to the video, we will sit in groups and we will answer these questions. Don't know whether we'll have time, but we'll see what to do. Let's see. Stop sharing here. Probably you have heard him. You may have watched. Probably you have. If you have watched this video, please. It's okay to watch it again. Let me first.
When we regained our independence, when you are Christianized and you are Pipim, when we regained our independence, or even before, we were told that our names were not good. So that when you are Christianized and you are Pipim and you went for baptism and you renounced the devil with all his works, they also said you have to be John, because in their scheme of things it appears that the heavens only recognize John, not Pipim. We were told that all the education we had acquired meant nothing, so that if you are eloquent in Ga or in Twi, you are not intelligent. You are only intelligent in English. You can only be intelligent in French, in Portuguese. We now know that that is nonsense. And you know, when that great Nigerian musician in the 1980s, fella Nicola Pokuti, said, "Teacher, don't teach me nonsense," he meant it. He was reminding us that we must examine our education system. You know, when the British came here and they were establishing schools across Africa, and then when they were establishing Achimota, which is famous for producing great Ghanaians, the intention was to produce young men and women who would support the colonial empire. The intention was the same in Uganda with Budo's King's College. It was the same in Kenya with the Alliance schools. As Chinua Achebe says, the white man was clever. He came and put a knife in the things that held us together, and things fall apart. And they have remained apart. So today when we come here, to talk about education, we come here to remind ourselves that we have urgent business to be undertaken. We have urgent business to be undertaken to remind ourselves that Martin Luther King Jr. is still right. The mind is the standard of the man. Because if the mind cannot imagine, then we cannot realize our potential. So we are here to interrogate our education system. My good friend, Samuel Pippin, doing the work that he came to do, to lay the ground, reminded you appropriately that we have now become famous for producing graduates in agriculture, some of whom, if you allow me a little latitude and hyperbole, cannot distinguish between a goat and a sheep. And that is why every person you ask in Africa is a farmer, but we are still importing chicken from Brazil. When I sit at the breakfast table in any African country, what am I served with? Nescafe from Nestle in Switzerland. There is not a single coffee bush in Switzerland. When I sit at the breakfast table, cocoa from Nestle, and yet Ghana is the largest producer of cocoa. What happened? We were disrupted. Pippin was right. When we want to build our roads, we have engineers, most of whom today, if you do not address them as engineers so-and-so, they rise up, ready to beat you up. But yet, when we are building our highway from Accra through to Winneba, through to Cape Coast, through to La Côte d'Ivoire, it is the Chinese that I see. Which calls into question, what type of engineering are we teaching? We are producing doctors, and they are good, some of them. But yet, when those of us who have the ability are sick, unless they do not know, they want to be airlifted to Dubai and to Germany. They have no faith in our medical system. When we are sick during COVID, all Africa is crying to America, oh, give us Moderna, give us Pfizer, to the Russians, give us Sputnik. We are crying. Yet we have universities with professors in medicine. You know, there is a missing link somewhere. Until the day we have the courage to find that missing link, then we are not preparing for the 21st century. Today, as I came here, courtesy of my hosts, I was driven in beautiful cars. Oh, none was made in Ghana. They are either made in Japan or in Germany. Africa does not produce cars. Ali Mazrui is right. We are in the business of consuming that which we do not produce and producing that which we do not consume. We must re-examine our education system. Even in matters as mundane as sports, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The United States of America offers our young men and women scholarships to study sports. Our universities don't. Football is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But yet, when one of the masters of ceremony was speaking in jest, it is not the anthem of Asante Kotoko that he remembered, but that of Liverpool, we shall not walk alone. So that as we are sitting here, even in the area of sports, which is a whole multi-billion-dollar industry, our young men and women are preoccupied with whether Arsenal beat Real Madrid or Barcelona beat Borussia Dortmund. They do not care whether Hafia Guinea du Conakry beat Asante Kotoko. The Osagyefo was right when he said, we may actually solve the economic problem. We may even solve the political problem. But I dare say that the mental problem which was impacted and makes us feel inferior will take a little longer to solve. This was not only said by the Osagyefo himself in 1963. In 1933, Carter G. Woodson, that African-American educator writing in his book, Miseducation of the Negro, said that we have been so miseducated for so long. Our self-esteem has been undermined for so long. We have been made to use the back door for so long that even when we are told to use the front door, we look for the back door, and if we can't find it, we create our own back door. The level of our miseducation is amazing. We must change it in order to enter into the 21st century. You know, Brother Pippin, when you said that our technological passports to the 21st century and visas to boot are expired, you are right. How can we play football on the games of rugby, on the rules of rugby? How? This is the question that we want to address today. We are talking about agriculture. And we are saying that we are now using technology to feed ourselves by manipulating the elements. The Chinese are seeding the rain so that it may rain. They have no problem with those of us who pray we must. But this misguided belief by Africans that when there is no rain, we pray and do nothing about it is completely misguided. The divine instruction was go ye and subdue the world. And subduing the world is by using our minds, by using the knowledge that we have. This is what the universities must ask. If you are a teacher, what kind of a teacher are you? Today, if I stood here and asked young Africans, and there is no shortage of them here, how many African authors do you know? And I asked, which is the last book of Chinua Achebe that you read? Or Kofi Awunur? Or Aikwe Yama? Or Kamara Lai? Or Flora Nwapa? Or Dambisa Moyo? Or more recently, Chimama and Ngozi Adichie? Or Yagiansi? How many have? We have been made to believe that it's only Shakespeare and Charles Dickens that matter. The time is now for us to change our minds. And we can only change our minds if we decolonize our minds. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, that famous Kenyan writer, says, until the day that we decolonize our minds, we are going nowhere. And Ngugi reminds us that we may have decolonized our countries, but there is something called decoloniality, totally liberating ourselves from the mental chains of the colonizers. You know, the Osagiefo, to whom Africans owe an apology, wrote in his great book, Neocolonialism, the last stage of imperialism and the most dangerous. We are in that stage. That stage when the colonizer still wants us to believe that our literature is inferior, that our science does not exist, that our mathematics does not exist, that we have no medicine to talk about, that we cannot mine beyond Galamsey, that we cannot extract our own oil, that we have no business being in robotics and cryptocurrency, that we must be consigned to the Museum of History alongside the spinning wheel, that we have no business being in the jet age. That is what we are being told. And my fear is that we appear to be believing it. We appear to be believing it because in our institutions of learning, when you look at our curriculum and you look at the curriculum of a number of countries in the Middle Ages, there is no difference. And I want to remind all of us that in the 1960s, when we were regaining our independence, and you read what was happening in different African countries, and I remind you to reread some of the thinkers of the time and the emphasis that they put on education. I was rereading for the umpteenth time the 32 speeches that were delivered by African leaders in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, between the 23rd and 25th days of May 1963, all of them, without exception, said one thing: if we are to give meaning to our independence, then education must be our focus. So said Ethiopia's Haile Selassie. If we want to change the continent of Africa, we must give meaning to education. So said Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere of Tanzania on that day. If we are going to change my little Senegal, we must give education priority. So said Leopold Sedar Senghor of Senegal. Even the complicit Félix Houphouët-Boigny in La Côte d'Ivoire believed so. But the ultimate was, of course, the one and only, the Osagiefo. He was as eloquent as he was passionate. And when he came home, where did he not visit? If he was not at Legon, opening the University of Ghana, He was in Kumasi, creating what is now the Kwame Nkrumah University. And if he was not at Kumasi, he was here creating an institute. He was everywhere. That is why when I heard my good friend talking about free basic education, he knew that ignorance is the enemy of progress. He knew that if there was a ghost that we had to exorcise, it was the ghost of ignorance. He knew that if there was a devil that we had to pray and fast against, it was ignorance. He knew that if there was anything we had to marshal our forces against in order to exorcise the ghost of tribalism in its primordial sense, it was ignorance. He knew. Yet, several years down the line, when you ask your typical academic, when they want to say that the University of Winneba, of education at Winneba is good, they say it is as good as Oxford. Why? Why can't it be just good? They must say that it's as good as Harvard, as MIT. Why must we always have this inadequacy to compare ourselves with others? We must change in order to enter the 21st century with confidence. Your leadership, who is a judge and belongs to our profession, which is one of the most imprisoned professions in Africa. When you see our judges dressing, they still dress like Father Christmas. Whoever told us that justice could only be administered when you dress like Father Christmas, I do not know. And when we are citing, even deciding a matter on land law in Ghana, in Cape Coast, we still want to cite some decision that was made by some English judge in the 13th century, as if we did not have our own land laws. The time has come that we must rethink and re-enter the 21st century with laws that are known to Ghana. Ask the Ga if they do not have laws that if we refine cannot lead us into the 21st century. Ask the Akan people if they do not have such laws. Ask the Fante people if they do not. Ask the Ewe if they do not. They do. We live in a world where we are so mentally captured that those of you in the middle class, your greatest claim to fame is that my daughter can no longer speak Chui and is meant to be a badge of honor. It is a badge of complete colonial conquest. And we cannot enter the 21st century with that mindset. Go to the countries in the Scandinavia, which we can dare compare ourselves with. Go to Denmark, they teach in Danish. Go to Norway, they teach in Norwegian. Go to Sweden, they teach in Swedish. Go to Finland, they teach in Finnish. Go to Korea, they teach in Korean. Go to China, they teach in Chinese. Go to Japan, they teach in Japanese. Then they meet the world. But you and me, here I am waxing eloquent in English. Not in Kiswahili. We must revamp our curriculum. And we must have the courage to do so as I speak to you now. They are teaching Yoruba and Twi at universities outside of this continent. Why? Because language is a multi-million dollar, multi-billion city industry. It is only us who do not know. Those of you who are religiously inclined, we are the only visitors in Jerusalem. So, brothers and sisters, we are here to remind ourselves that there is urgent business to be undertaken. We are here to remind ourselves that we had a good past. We are here to remind ourselves that others came and through slavery they disrupted that past, that they did not stop there, that they came again under colonization, and this time they disrupted us so very thoroughly and took away even the most precious of things, our confidence. That when they came here and imposed an education system, that education system had only one agenda. The agenda was to create men and women, if they were the English who colonized you, who could speak English and be their clerks. If you are colonized by the French, that you could speak French or Portuguese or Italian or Germany. When we regained our independence, we only made cosmetic changes. The time is now to go deep and remove the cosmetics and go to the fundamentals. And I'm suggesting to you that that has been done. You know, those of you who are a little older will remember that 30 years ago, China was not famous for much. They were only famous for Chairman Mao, for the Long March. Today, even the toothpicks in your hotels here in Winneba are from China. Today, you go to the shops, even the inauthentic Kentes are from China. They have franchised, indeed patented Kente. You go home, your television is Chinese or Korean. You are being persuaded to use your phones. I suspect you are either using Samsung or Huawei. What did China do 30 years ago? They made a decision that we are going to change our education system. And they changed the education system. They engaged in agriculture. They engaged in technology. They engaged in medicine. They engaged in everything. And today, China is the second strongest economy in the world, with a GDP of no less than 19 trillion United States dollars. Compare that with little Ghana. Compare that with little Sierra Leone. Compare that with little Kenya, with little all these countries. What they did was to change their minds in order to change their future. And that is why when we are building roads, whether it's in Nairobi, Kenya, or in Accra, Ghana, or in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, or in Senegal, or in Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso, or Bamako in Mali, or Harare in Zimbabwe, or in Zambia, who do we find? Chinese. Because they changed their minds. The time is now for us to change our minds. The academics who are here must agree with me that we have sinned and fallen short of the expectations of our countries. And that the time is now to say that we should be forgiven. And if our generation committed those mortal sins, You up there must not repeat those mistakes. You must not repeat those mistakes. You must use the examples and the experience so that you do not step on the landmines that we stepped on. That is why Chinua Achebe said, where are the young suckers that will grow when the old banana dies? These are old bananas. You are the young suckers. So rise up. Africa is not expecting you to engage in a perpetual state of lamentation. No, lamentation will not help you. And I want to remind you that when you are here in Ghana, don't compete with Liberia. You will beat Liberia. Don't compete with Benin. Don't compete with Togo. Don't compete with La Côte d'Ivoire. Don't compete with all these little African dwarfs. Compete with giants. And when Ghana wakes up, this Ghana, you know, sometimes when I think about Ghana, I think about Kwame Nkrumah. And you think about his books, Dark Days in Ghana, Letters from Conakry. When the Osagyefo is so close yet so far, his ideas dead, his books banned until Ignatius Kutu Acheampong comes. It is only in the year 2013 that Nkosazana and Lamini Zuma, the then chair of African Commission, writes a letter of apology to Kwame Nkrumah. I urge you to read it. He tells Kwame, you are right. Everybody was wrong when you said we must unite and change our education system in order to compete. That is Nkosazana and Lamini Zuma. Today, the Osagyefo is here telling us, let us change. He said it in 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. He said it in 1964 in Cairo, Egypt. He said it in 1965 in Accra, Ghana. And on 6th day of March 1997, on the occasion of the celebration of 40 years of independence of Ghana, Kambarage Nyerere himself also apologized to Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. He said, you are right, we were wrong. Today I'm saying that we cannot remain imprisoned in history and lamentation. That is why it is still true for you Ghanaians. Nkrumah is dead, but Nkrumah never dies. And the reason why he never dies is that his ideas are evergreen. Who among you here is courageous enough to stand up and contradict me when I say what we are saying here was said by Kwame Nkrumah in 1955? Who among you? Who among you here is courageous enough to tell me that Nkrumah did not think about education of a different kind when he was instituting the University at Legon? Who amongst us? That he was right when he established the Kwame Nkrumah University in Kumasi, that he was right when he instituted the institute out of which grew the University of Education at Winneba. Who amongst you can contradict me? So if he was right, he did not have the advantage of the technology that you have? No. There was no WhatsApp, there was no Twitter or X, there was no Instagram, there was only Telegraph. But he was able to marshal the entire black community throughout the world and give meaning to education. What can you and me not do if we mean to do it? So you young men who are present here, don't tell me Nkrumah was old. Nkrumah was just slightly older than you. If you look at his cabinet, some of them were in their 20s. It is not formal education that maketh a man or a woman. The great Indian sage Raja Gopalachari says, education is not merely attending institutions and acquiring certificates. He says, you may have gone to school, but has school gone through you? This is the question. So, ladies and gentlemen, here today, we are here to tell ourselves ad nauseum that the mother continent can change, and she will change. She will change, and when I look at the future and I hold all factors constant, I see an Africa whose young men and women are educated and their education is about innovation and invention. I see such an Africa. I see an Africa whose sons and daughters will be leaders in cryptocurrency. I see that Africa. I see an Africa where all the cars running from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia to Banjul in the Gambia will either be made in Togo, Burkina Faso, or Uganda. I see that Africa. I see an Africa where the Ghanaian doctors who are running hospitals in the United States and in the United Kingdom will have the courage to come back home because there is something called a hospital where they can do their trade. I see such an Africa. I see an Africa where we will have our own satellites that are launched next to Elmina Castle, and they'll go out there in the orbit, and we shall not be depending on Vodafone. I see such an Africa. I see an Africa where we will be able to produce enough rice, enough cocoa, and enough gold, and we will process it here, and that you will be selling it to Nairobi, Kenya, Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and it will not be necessary to look to the outside world. I see such an Africa. I see an Africa where, apart from Kiswahili, one of the languages that will be spoken will be Twi or Ebe or Ga. I see such an Africa. That Africa is possible. It is possible, Honorable Minister for Education, when at your next meeting you think outside of the box, or preferably without reference to the box. I see an Africa where we will give practical meaning to Africa Agenda 2063, not merely as a point of reference, but as a practical reality. I see an Africa where there is Africa Continental Free Trade Area, and the majority of students here at Winneba will be drawn from Togo, from Benin, from Gabon. I see an Africa where our kith and kin in Martinique, in Guadeloupe, and Barbados, Antigua, and Barbuda will be coming here. I see that happen. That is why, when I have such foresight, wisdom not only requires but dictates that I stop. Because going beyond that would be flogging a dead horse. I see an Africa that gives meaning to those words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, written in his book, Africa Must Unite. That Africa needs a new citizen. Are you those citizens that the Osagyefo was talking about? Are you? Do you have values? Do you have passion? Do you have dedication? Do you have love? Do you have imagination? Do you have the spirit of innovation? Do you have the spirit of invention? If that is true, then I have no fear for Africa. So go out there and amaze Africa. God bless you.
Yes. Sometime, I said at the beginning, I don't know about your view, about your attitude toward Piero, but I think at the end of the day, it is what he says. And this speech that was done in Ghana uh, is one of the greatest speech, if you ask me, about him. In Kenya, we talk about politics, play a lot of politics, sometimes hatred, speeches, ethnicity, and all that. And sometimes it's good to really listen to somebody and listen to what he's saying, because I think that's not something that he just sat down and think. I think he did a lot of research. He has analyzed the ideas. He has spoken about them, and great things that if everybody, sometimes I wish this is one of the speeches that should be listened in our parliaments and also in our universities. The question is, do you think he will get the opportunity to do that? Do you think he will get the opportunity to do that? In our universities in Kenya, in our parliament, in our senate, can he get the opportunity to do such a speech? Or if they don't like it, can they listen to the speech? Because he was really, he's doing a great job, if you ask me, and from what I see here. So, but I can see what is happening to our time. I need your guidance. Can we have 3 people comment as we think about it? What's that came out for you? Yes, Munachi.
Yes, good morning, Prof, and
Good
everybody.
morning. Yes.
I strongly agree with Pierlo Lumumba with everything that he said. And I was having a discussion with my clients the other day, several days, so many days ago. We were learning about cocoa in Ghana. And then again, we're seeing that it was being processed in Nestle, the same thing to our coffee. And we were very angry. The 50 of us were very angry about it. And then I'm seeing that PLO is talking about it. But then he's saying that nothing he says is new. That thing was said by Kwame Nkrumah. And then if you think about it, listen to you. I know you may not really show us the passion, but once in a while you let it show. Listen to Professor Airo. I don't know. Do you know at some particular point? For example, think of our leaders. Think of that particular leader who makes you so angry, and then think of him listening to PLO.
Yes.
It almost doesn't click. Why don't you people who have these insights take leadership positions? The other time I was telling Professor Airo to vie for presidency, and then he was very adamant about it. And then look at how passionate PLO is. Imagine if these people were to get into leadership positions, because there's no way. I'm trying to think of our leaders, those who turn around, and then the other people are commenting saying, would this lady be good? Do you think these people will sit in parliament and then listen to that? And then maybe try to make a change. Our leaders who make trips to I don't know which countries after they're vying for office, and then they want that presidential position. You wonder, why are you going to Britain? It's us who are going to vote for you. Why are you going to the other sides of the world? So if we really need change, then we need less of the dramatization that happens in our political space, and these minds really need to take position or something very revolutionary like Sankara and this other guy now what is the name of this new guy? Yeah,
Sankara.
yeah. Yes. So we really need this. We need these minds in leadership positions so that we can see that change, because it's very powerful. Every time I listen to this type of speeches, I want to hold a congress, but then I realize that the
Yes.
politics of the land may not really boost it. And civic education is what is trying to keep us afloat as we speak. But then we need someone who may have the power to turn the wheel. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And you are right. We need people who will trigger and start change. The only, and I think if you listen, I'm sure you talk to Professor Ilo, and most likely he must have responded, and he's very bitter with the kind of politics that is in this country. Because even if you want to vie for some of these positions, you can. The problem with this country is that it is very easy to be humiliated. You saw Orakiapi wanting to become a president. How many votes did he get? You know, we have, and you have seen it in Karao, you've seen it in many other places where the kind of politics we play in this country, it's not politics for development. And sometimes you want to do it, but then you ask, the muscles, because this country is whereby, I don't know how much they spend in Karao, but I think it could be in billions. The other say, I don't know, who can remember the other time they were talking about how much a president can spend in a campaign. Anyone who can remember? They said how much? Was it IBC who are giving guidance? If you want to become a president, this is how much you should spend. If you want to be like this is how much. Anyone who can remember how much it was? Even as I give others opportunity. Can see a lot of comments. I'll pass all these comments in the chat, in the WhatsApp, so that you can also read what other people have said. John, your hand is up. I can see several hands up.
Yes, good morning. I'll take a short time. Thank you, Prof, for the opportunity. Actually, PLO, I can't remember when it was, but he vied to represent Kamkunji constituency, and his results were nothing to write home about. So I don't know if sometimes we are ready to face these people who tell us to our face what we need to hear. I mean, it is sad we are communicating in English here. Tanzania has tried that with Kiswahili, and even now it feels that it's always behind, because Kiswahili will not be allowed to thrive beyond the regions where it is being spoken, because I always say it is against we always think that we're going to get support from other countries, and we need to know that it is not in their interest for us to be united. It is not in their interest for us to see value in our products. It's not in their interest for us to see value in our cultural heritage. And it is sad. The other day that it took Trump to get Kagame and Tshisekedi to sit together in Washington for them to discuss about peace in their respective countries. It is very sad that African Union needs to be funded by international donors for it to work, and those are the things that we need to
their country will not fund it.
Whether we really are looking for solutions, or whether we just want to be like marionettes, looking like we are getting solutions. Meanwhile, we are just playing the games of those who are actually our detractors. That it is sad that we speak a lot about our cooperation, economic cooperation with the UK, with the US, with China, and we have little to show, in terms of our interactions with the neighboring countries. That we cannot coalesce together as the East African community, and be a formidable bloc. We fight amongst ourselves. We have, East African fighting with SADC and all that. It's really sad. And those are things that it's our realities. I think, I don't know if it's Gabriel or what, who feels he's very pessimistic and says that, civilization was not for us. His stands are very strong, but, you almost feel that way. that there's a lot that we need to do. We need to look inward for our own solutions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, John. And I can see Patrick saying that the president is allowed to use 4 billion, 4.4 billion. That's what Patrick is putting there for campaign. 4.4 billion. If that is true, then who will become a president? If that's true, who will become a president? And you know, let me before I give somebody else. Africa is the marketplace. Remember, like the way you go to the market to buy things? Africa is the marketplace for the world. We are the people. We are poor, yes. We may think we are poor, but let me tell you, we are the market for the whole world. We are the market for technology. This phone, you see, Africa buys, has the largest, Africa as a continent, has the largest market for these gadgets all over the world. It's the biggest market. It's the biggest market for WhatsApp. It's the biggest market for TikTok. It's the biggest market for computers. It's the biggest market for coffee. It is the biggest for medicine. Africa is the biggest market for cars. You know, I can see somebody saying coupling. Africa is the biggest market for all these things. Remember, it's also one among the biggest continent. It is the market. So when you see those development in Europe, all ships are coming to Africa to bring merchandise, to bring whatever they are making in Europe. Africa is the biggest market. Go to the supermarket and look at, for example, Nakumat, look at Carrefour, look at Sweet Quick Mart. What percent of those products you see there are coming from Africa? Are African made? From Loico to the pig, Matchbox, where are they coming from? We are the biggest market. Because we are the biggest market, the West will do anything to make sure that we don't think and get that reality. 1, keep these guys divided. 3, 2, make them not speak the same language. Because if they do, they will realize their mistakes. They will realize that they are the biggest market, so they can turn around and become the market. What happened? Then the Europeans have no market in Africa. How many cars do we import to Africa in a year? Because look at the presidential fleet. How many vehicles are we talking about? New ones. Go to Jomo Kenyatta. To Mombasa at the port. How many cars are we bringing every day? How many clothes, new clothes are we getting from China or from Turkey? You know, how many? You can talk about how many the second-hand clothes which we wear in Africa. How many tons are brought to Africa? So when you think about that, and you see how the world is looking at us, you can see the world looks at us as a big market, and market means a source of income or revenue for their countries. So they'll do anything to make us not to think. Unfortunately, we've picked that and we have become to believe. So anytime you want you want to bring the reality to the Africans, the West comes in with the IMF, with what, and try to do what? You know, so those are some of you may call it dumping, or even dumping is also like second-hand clothes and all that. But it's not for free. Think about pesticides that are killing people because of cancer today. Cancer is a business. I don't know whether you know that. Cancer is a business. You think we are sad, we are losing people. Cancer is a business. The moment you get cancer, you know how expensive that medicine is? Who is developing that medicine? If that medicine is not developed, chemo and all that, if that business is if that medicine is not bought. So what happened to the country that is producing that medicine, which is now is coming to Africa as medicine, so that our people can buy. But there's a company making that medicine. Do you think that company is ready to allow you to be cancer free? Or they will use means to make sure that, after all, you are not theirs, although it is also turning against them. Even you go to the US, the cancer is also a big killer. But the companies that are making those drugs are making billions and billions of dollars in a year. So they have to continue surviving. They are paying taxes to the government. They are employing people. Yes, they are a huge contributor to the country's revenue and GDP. So where is the market? The biggest market? Africa. So, so these are some of the things, and when you think about them, of course, it's sad, and you can see how we are surrounded. But even as we are surrounded by all these forces that ensure that we remain to be their market, we remain to they must control our politics. That's one way. They must control who gets to power. You can be sure whether it is President Ruto who will be in power next year, whoever will be in power, Americans, British, and all the others will have an influence on who comes to power. Yeah, they have everywhere in this country. When Torre started fighting, going against the West, it is Russians who came and said, don't touch this guy. Yeah. Why? What is the interest of Russia? Yes, Irene.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to first start by disagreeing with the sentiment that Africa was not built for civilization.
That was who said that? Is
Gabriel,
it? It's Gabriel.
yes, being brainwashed.
Mm,
Because if you look at Africa, the earliest university was established in 737 AD. That is an
in
African
Egypt.
still operational up until now. So
Mm,
when you say civilization, maybe you are defining it with the terms that we were given by the colonialists. And again, let me give you this as recent as the 1970s in
mm,
Britain, they didn't even have proper sanitation systems. When Africans have had running systems, clean toilets that could flush, even
mm,
before colon. If you look at West Africa, West Africa established hot water showers before the white man came. So when
mhm,
you say civilization, what are we really talking about? And what I really love about Lumumba is his emphasis on the mental work that we have to do to change our systems. A lot
mm,
of us have established notions that were passed down from the history of the experiences of those who came from the colonial period. We were told the colonialists came, they first sent the missionaries. The missionaries came, they found Africans were worshipping, they had their own systems of worship. They came and told them, no, 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 don't accept. Your gods are actually demons. And then people
mm,
bought that narrative that
mm,
African
mm,
gods were Jews, they were
mm,
wrong, and we started
mm,
worshiping a God we were given. We borrowed God. So from that time, things started falling and falling. And you realize that we have never really healed from all of that. The dehumanization that Africans went through. When somebody is reading the Bible to you and at the same time they're beating you. I've always said this, an adult being beaten and being told that he who does not punish their child is spoiling their child. You're not a child, you're an adult, and you're being beaten, flogged in public with the
yes.
scripture. That is humiliation. And people take it as, hey, this is what God wants for us. God does not want us to be humiliated. God wants us to build our future to grow. So our mindsets, mentality is where we fail. You've also seen, I don't know if you've seen recently, when the president was saying for him to borrow money from other countries, he has to accept mediocre laws. And he's saying it as if it's a badge of honor. of going back to the drawing board and finding systems where we can get money from our own country because we have the capability. Right now, we are selling our own minerals to the US in exchange for what? Those small monies. When we could put up systems could help us ensure that for even for our future, our kids can afford themselves in their own country. They're giving us small things, breadcrumbs. Olkalau, they were giving out gas. So this gas they can give us for free, they're selling to us at very high prices. You see, our mindsets have been
But what was the motive of giving the gas? Was it so that
the
the
motive,
people become self-sufficient?
no, the motive is to buy these people's votes, but it
Yeah.
also communicates that these people have the ability to make things good for us. They choose not to. So our mindset, when we allow these people, again now during these campaign periods that we are working into, when we allow them to sell to us narratives, we continue to carry forward the problems that PLO Lumumba has always spoken about. And this is not the first time he has spoken to it. And someone has said it, we do love mediocre. When somebody stands up and tells us the truth, we do not take their word. We take the word of the one who will pay us to listen to their word. That is my stand. Thank
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think, and really, uh, since we most of us are teachers, and even those who are not teachers, I think the best medicine is to start with our children. Teach them the right thing. Teach them the right way to think. Let them be able to. I know when you are given that opportunity, as a what, as a teacher in CBE class, teach them the practical way to think, the practical way to do things, and over time, I think the results will be desirable because it's just like the GNC. The GNC have learned and they know how to speak out for themselves. But you know one of the weakness, they don't have the skills to do the job because they were not provided with that opportunity. That's why there's a lot of high unemployment because a good education should be able to help you to, if you don't get a job, you can create a job and be able to be productive. That's what they do in other countries. So that's the moment we move to competence based, let it be competence based. There's of course there's the generational gap because it's a generation that was fed that wrong information from colonialists. Those who are supposed to rescue us. If you read the speech in the speeches from and I don't know whether I'll get those speeches and I post them on WhatsApp. That was spoken by the president of Africa in 1963 I think it's in April in Ethiopia. You'll see, you'll read, and you'll see they had great visions. But then, the moment they left Ethiopia and they came to implement, remember Africa was very newly in terms of independence. When they came to now to actualize what they had spoken, they faced a very different reality because they found that the colonialists were still the masters. Because you want to change sorry, you want to change this, but the colonialist is the one to provide you money for roads. Is the one to provide you money like the British. They are the ones to give you money for medicine. They are the ones to give you money. At that point, the seed you required for development, for education, you had to rely on the British. They are the people you have chased away. So, of course, at their terms. And so you wanted to have a country that is well run. So what do? You adopt the colonizers or the colonial masters system of government, of governance. Then they provide you the resources. I think that's one of the biggest challenge. That dependence, unfortunate, it has become too much. We almost now, depend on these people. And somebody was saying, we just vote the right people. Through our vote, we can go the Karao way. The question is, do we vote the right people or do we vote the people who are presented to us? And the people who are presented to us, is it because they are the right people or is it because the what we call the dual operations or the dual leadership in all African and Eastern cultures, whereby politics and business go hand in hand. So to be in parliament or to be a president, you must be well connected with business people, but you must also connected in politics. Those are the two dual players in terms of political will. And that's where that's where things go haywire. Because you have the political will, you have no money. You can see now Sifuna, who is becoming a big contender or a big leader to others. For him to become a president, you saw Namboera saying that he's going to fund him because he knows that, yes, he has the political will, he has the political energy and the support, but he lacks the financial muscles. And if he doesn't have that, and I know other people will, that's why you hear there's also political buying here and there. People will buy you so that you go, because if you want to succeed, you must get finances to do your campaign. That 4.4 billion that we saw Patrick talking about, where does it come from? It must come from somewhere. Somebody has to finance. Namboya, who is not highly educated but very rich and well connected, he's saying, I'll finance Shikuku, Sifuna. What does that mean? So, and that's where the problem comes. And Muriithi Muriithi was saying Professor Ahiro can fight for the president. But now, the financial and the political goodwill, those two go together. And you have seen them in this country. You know, many of these people, if you have, okay, we have some extraordinary cases like what we saw, but you see, the people of Kara, were they, let me ask a question, were they really for electing their own, or were they voting against a political system?
Prof, can I chime in?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that is a good question. Their motive may not be aligned to what you're looking for, but that is a wave. It is an opening. It could be a window or a door that can help us. Look at the people you guys impart. They are young minds and a very good force. I attend civic education sessions in places you wouldn't imagine civic education would take place. And they're led by sometimes even young doctors and so on and so forth. So we just need the feeding of the mind as
Yes.
a change in the mindset, as PLO is saying. Yeah, that is where education, that is the education he's talking about. So that is, it is a crack. It's showing us that it is possible not
it
to
is
be bored.
possible.
Not
So
to
what
be
you're
bored. Yeah.
saying, the way I ask that question is because I also know that DCP spent a lot of time in that place, really campaigning against the current system. So they were telling them, pick whatever you are given, but remember to vote a different person. So that's the kind of, and so Muriithi, you are right. The mindset which was set, Rububa said, even 1955, even before, I would say even before. And I've argued, by the way, I remember when I was a student arguing with a Muzee who was telling that who was telling me that he misses the day of colonizers. He misses the days of colonizers. And he was saying the current government is useless and blah, blah, blah. And he was saying that he wishes Muzungu was still here. Imagine that kind of mindset. So there's a lot to do, but it starts with us. It starts in the mind. Let me Ian and then Vincent and then we close. But I also give guidance because we have not had time to discuss the way we wanted in groups.
Thank you a lot.
Because I've
Thank
seen
you, Prof.
CSDA people saying we want to go to church.
Yeah, for me, PLO has challenged me to think about whether our education system in Kenya is truly helping us to solve the problems that we face. And one statement that stood out for me was when he mentioned that subduing the world means using our minds. This, for me, means that education should help us think critically and create solutions, and also use our knowledge to improve our communities. As Lumumba has also said that we produce what we do not consume and consume what we do not produce. And I think we see this when we export the products such as the coffee beans that we do, tea in bulk. We also export raw hides and other agricultural materials, but then we later on import the high-valued finished products such as the branded coffee, the packaged tea, the leather shoes, and even handbags and other manufactured goods. The greater profit for such is often made through processing, branding, and manufacturing, but then not simply not simply through producing the raw materials. And this shows that our education system must do more in terms of promoting innovation, research, entrepreneurship, and the local industries, as well as the practical skills. So for me, the question that he posed, if you have gone through school, but has school gone through you, it was powerful because education should not only give us the certificates, and it should transform how we think, lead, and serve. And as students, for us who are pursuing the Master of Education, Leadership, and Policy Studies, I think it's important that we ask ourselves whether the policies and institutions that we influence are really responding to the realities of Kenyan learners. And our challenge, I would say, is to ensure that education really contributes to solving the problems that we face, such as the unemployment, corruption, and even the overdependence on imported solutions. So we should not only graduate from this program, but we should use what we are learning to help make education in Kenya more relevant, practical, and transformative. And I know even from the start of this class, I remember you mentioned that most of us are teachers or are in the education sector. So I think we're in places where we can be influential in a way in terms of helping the direction that this country is supposed to head to. Thank you.
Thank you. And really, we begin well from our own, from where we are. I begin in my class. You begin in your office. Imagine if you play this video at your workplace. The other one plays at the other. If you imagine, this video was picked by Gen Zs and is spread all over the media. Imagine what kind of reaction it will have. So we start with for me, I've prayed it because I think it's very, very important. It's a big lesson. I said, let's not think about the Lumumba as this country and tribalism and all that. Let's think Lumumba as a reformer, somebody who is thinking about reforming not just Kenya, but reforming the world or reforming the continent. And that way, we pick what is good and pick the lessons he's talking about. Remember, like you said, innovation, invention, innovation, and research. That's in fact we start with research, and then innovation or invention. That is the way to go. If we don't invent, if we don't innovate, we are going nowhere. We must move away from the theoretical aspect, and that's why I believe in a lot of practical activities. I challenge students to think practically. I gave an example at the beginning, and really, it's intentional to just see. It is not the books really that made me reach where I have today. I'm a professor. I'm a DVC. It's not. Probably were those dreams in my mind? Probably not to that extent, but I worked through. It is the practicality and the determination. And I wish if this country, we were to do that. If we were to change our mind and really have a clean mindset, like many of you would do, and there's a lot of write-up here. I will send you all this write-up because there's a lot of information that is written by you guys that I need to share. We don't have the time for that. But yeah, it's true. It is us, it is us, it is us. Whether we are teachers or not, we must. The future of Africa, let me tell you, the future of Africa will not be developed. Africa will not be changed by the West. Remember, I've just said, Africa is the marketplace for the West. As long as they are marketing things, they will do anything economically, politically, socially to make sure that their products are sold in Africa. Because that's how they get money. Countries like Spain, countries like Singapore, not Singapore, France, countries like Finland, all those small countries. How do they survive? They survive by exporting to the rest of the world. That's how they make their money. Netherlands, they build those ships to go across the world to serve the rest of Europe, to carry goods so that they can supply them across the world. But the major market, Africa. So, Vincent, lastly. I see people want to go to church. Vincent.
Thank you.
Pastor,
Thank you,
yes.
Prof, and good morning.
Morning.
I hope you can hear me clearly. I'm in transit.
Yes, yes.
All right. I think PLO's speech and the work that he's doing is commendable.
Yes.
I think I'll draw a parallel with what Professor Wangari Maathai said after receiving the Nobel Prize, when people were
Yes.
asking her, you know, did she foresee such a future and all that? She said, I was just doing my little thing to bring about
Yes.
change. I think PLO is doing his little thing as he
Mm.
traverses the continent and is stirring up people to rethink, think about their identity and think about their place in the global stage. Then on the second thing, the All Kalau results that you mentioned, I think the surface results are awesome. There was a people taking a stance against the political system. But unfortunately, in my opinion, the politics was retrogressive because
Yes.
our politics was heading in the right direction. Our politics used to be under the Moi regime purely ethnic based. And then we started moving towards a politics that was party based. And we were hoping that our politics will advance to be an issue based politics. The results were awesome, but the politics was ethnic. And in that way, it was retrogressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So we seem to be moving from ethnic now where we are. I don't know. I don't know. We are still tribal, very, very tribal. We are very. You see even people abusing the people of Karau. You wonder why abuse them. They made their choice. But again, like I said, was it their choice or was it a choice that is politically driven? Were they not fighting, responding? And so whether it's something that can be replicated across the country, me, I'm not sure because I don't think so. Because really it
It
depends on
should be
what is your interest.
replicated. It should be replicated, sir.
Yeah, I'm saying it should be replicated, but I'm saying I don't know. Do you think it will happen? Vincent.
I am unsure whether it will happen, but
Yeah,
the stance
yeah.
that those people took against the powers that be, that was beautiful. That
And
restored
is that
agency to the people.
and that stand is what we should be saying. We should have a stand against the West and say, this is us, Africa. I think Rumumba talked about the internal market in Africa is enough to offer. Each country can be able, for example, Bagandas are very good with the bananas and coffee and the like. Kenyans, we are very good in certain areas. Somalia is very good with the cows, with the cows and sheep and all that. That pastoral business. If we have enough business to do among ourselves, but the only thing we have refused to take the first step, build industries. That one we have refused deliberately because I think it's sweet to have it's sweet to have collaboration or partnership with these other businesses out there, so that we as politicians, as business people, we gain profit. So it become bitter, difficult to build industries. Yet, a country like China, how is China making money today? It's because China decided to build industries because you eat, you drive, you wear clothes, you need the medicine. So somebody cannot say we don't require we don't require industries, you know. We because that has been the argument. No, Africa, we don't need industries. We are service industries. Yes, we need industries. Even the service industry is an industry. Until we invest in industries that will produce what the market needs, then we start exporting the same to other countries. There will be no much, there isn't going to be much. So, and I'm talking, I can see a lot of discussion about Gen Zs. Please, Gen Zs, let's, like what you just said earlier, let's build our competencies. It is your time to build. The moment you build competencies, you will see change. Let's aspire. I know with your numbers, you can easily bring somebody to power. But that power, please, again, let's think carefully. Who do we bring to power? Are we bring to power a puppet of the West or our own? Like you have seen in many countries. We need people, like the President Ruto, when he came to power with his bottom up, it was very transformative in our mind. It was very transformative in our mind because we thought that is how what he was talking about really. It's a big, it's a big paradigm shift. He was also saying that Africa can do things on its own. That's what he meant by bottom up. That means we can start on our own, build our own industry, grow our industries, create jobs and countries, and really develop our continent. That was the original. That's why the president got a lot of votes, because people, even other countries, saw an opportunity and a model that can be replicated across Africa. So those are some of the things, and for sure, you know that that is what we require. That was what the leaders were saying in 1963, which did not happen because, like I said, there were so many forces. But I think at the end of the day, we need to get somewhere. And one country like Kenya stands a very good opportunity to be the leader of the region in terms of manufacturing, in terms of technology, in terms of many medicine, many things. But when our graduates get their jobs, what do you tell them? Let's take them to Europe. We'll get you jobs. The jobs should be here. We build hospitals. We employ our young people. We build whichever. Mark, conclude for us.
Thank you so much, Professor. Much have been said, and I wanted to ask you something before there. I want to say I really liked today's class, especially it has been climaxed by Professor Lumumba's speech. And of course, as a teacher, I'm still worried if I teach my students nonsense. I really don't know. I really don't know. But then, Professor, besides that, in our assignment that you gave us, VD on 29th, it is written 29th at 12 a.m. So we don't know whether it will be on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday,
I'll
and
change that.
it might confuse
It
many.
should be PM. It should be
Yeah, please.
11:59 p.m.
Yeah, please put it that way so that many of us might not get confused.
Thank you. I'll correct that.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah. So I want to change this question. Let me change it to, instead of what we had said as groups, I want us to do a reflection. Page reflection of this presentation. What do you think is the main challenge? And what is the solution? So I've changed that question to something very simple. Just do a one page. I said do a one page. Do a one-page summary of today's presentation. What is the main challenge and what is the main solution? Let me use the word main so that we don't talk about so many things. Just one page or half a page. That's all I need from you to be able to earn the 10 marks for out of the 20 that we talk about the practical work. So just one page, because we have done a lot of discussion, but I know there are a lot of people in our class who did not discuss because we are many and not all of us can be able to participate. So please note that and get that so that just a one-page reflection of today's presentation, and the video is there. You can watch it again if you want, but I think it's a good thing. Otherwise, I want to thank you very much for any those who are going to church. We spend a lot of time, but sometimes I think the discussion is worth the issue we've discussed, like what Mark has said, this is a climax. And it's now, I think now we are starting to think, and we're starting to think about the education system and the reforms that we require. Nashukuru sana, and I pray that God guide you. Let me pray because time is far gone. Lord, we want to thank you so much again for this day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to meet and even discuss about the education issues, political matters, and this country of ours, and even the continent and the future of it and where it's going. We pray that, Father, that just like the other countries have developed, and it is not those others who will develop for us, it is us who will develop our country. Help us to be able to take charge and be able to take our positions in different parts so that, Lord, we can be able to bring reform that are required. Bless this country, give us peace, even as you charge us to take our responsibility. Pray for my student and myself as we continue with the rest of the weekend. We pray for your blessings, protection, and care. Pray for those who are going to church today, that Father, you also give them a good time as they get closer to you and listen to your word. For we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Enjoy your weekend.
Amen.
Asante, sir. All the best.
Have a good weekend, Prof.
Asante.
Thank you.
The same. Asante.
Excuse me, Prof. Just to be clear, this is a one pager.
Yes.
Is it a group task or individual?
No, now that it can be an individual, just an individual.
Do we make it individual?
It's an individual. Let's make it an individual.
Okay.
Because our group
Sorry?
could do it as a one page. No, let's people give their view. Let people give their views because we've done a lot of discussion.
Okay.
And I know there are a lot of people who did not get an opportunity to say.
So as of now, we are not doing any group discussion yet. As in, we're not doing any group task yet.
There's one we did, but we'll do another one next week. I will devote next week for a group work.
So
that the people see we have done it.
Okay, thank you so much for the clarity.
We discuss in groups, but I think I realized the time was so short.
Yeah.
We'll not have allowed for that, but we'll do that next week.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
Prof, are we submitting it on DU online?
I will create a position for it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the feedback on assignment 1.
Thank you. I spent so many hours. Because I must mark and give students their work. Thank you, Patrick.
Well appreciated.
Remember who have not received theirs, Prof.
Yes, they are going to receive today.
Okay.
Vile niliona sasa imefika saa 9, I needed to sleep kidogo nifunze.
Sasa.
Asante.
Prof.
Yeah.
Prof, there's also the option of, and it doesn't have to apply to this one, but if you have subsequent ones where people can share their thoughts through the discussion forums, that could be a thing that you could also consider.
Like what I've just said, people could post it. I can say their one page, they put it in the forum.
I mean, it's really, if you want, ideally the discussion forum, the comments should be succinct. So it doesn't have to apply to this one, which you have already issued, but in terms of you wanting to hear people express themselves, that could be another avenue that you could consider. Yeah.
Like today's comment, I have them. I'll post them in the I don't know whether people want me to post them in WhatsApp.
Not WhatsApp. There's a discussion forum option on as you be using DU Online.
Okay. Let me see.
There's that option. One of your colleagues is actually using it.
Okay. I will check. And even the question we have just given today, I can even post it there.
Yes. There's an opportunity to people give comments and people to reply to the comments that they have given, and you have a discussion over there.
Sawa, sawa. Asante, asante. Thank you for that.
Right. Enjoy your weekend, good people.
Asante, Joyce.